So hello survivors and aspiring survivors, and welcome to my guide to navigating in DayZ. This is my second video in my tutorial series. If you haven't seen the first one, I do recommend you go back and watch that. There's some very basic instructions in that on how to work your way through the server menus, through your HUD, and just to figure out, the very, very basic building blocks of how you move around in the game and eat and use your inventory. So this is going to be slightly more in depth. It's going to be slightly more complex, and it's going to be a lot more focused on just pure navigation. If you don't know anything about navigation, like you don't know how to read a compass, you don't know how to use a topographical map that shows contour lines, I do recommend that you look those things up, because you're going to struggle an awful lot in DayZ with navigation. Unless you've got a friend who knows how to do it and you don't have to worry about it, I would recommend that you brush up your skills a little bit, learn how to read a map and how to read a compass. I can give you some very, very basic ideas. I'll just take my compass out here. So that's north. And if I'm looking at the map, north is usually at the top of the map. So if I was looking at the map and I can see that I'm facing north, and I look and I see, say there's a mountain over there and there's a slight headland here. If I look at the map and I can match up those features to where I am, I should be able to figure out where I'm going. That's very, very basic, but I do recommend that you brush up on your map reading skills before you try playing DayZ, because you're going to have an awful lot of trouble if you have no idea what you're doing. Next of all, I did mention in my first video that you should download the iSurvive app, which is a phone app that will show you a very, very detailed map of Chernarus and all of the different landmarks and features that you're going to need to be able to see. So it will show you the first thing you need, which is a well. Those are not visible on in-game maps, so that's another reason why I recommend everybody get the iSurvive app. So there's a couple of in-game maps that you can also use that you can find around the place. This is a tourist map. Obviously it's like a tourist information kind of map that you can find various towns and on the crosses of a lot of hiking trails. These are useful in so much as they will show you a "you are here" dot. So obviously that's showing us a dot in Solnici. They can be kind of hard to read, so I do recommend that you tap L1 twice to get into a zoomed in view, which will make things a lot easier. There's also a map legend that will show you the different icons on it and what it means. This is again not that detailed compared to the iSurvive, but it will help you out if you really want to play a purely hardcore, no additional intel game. Then you can use these. They're not marked on the iSurvive, which is a bit of a pain, but they are around the place and you can find them and use them. The other maps that are available in-game are these tourist maps, which are even less detailed again than the tourist information signs. Like you can see here, this doesn't even cover the entirety of the map. This only goes as far north as Novodmitrovsk and as far south as Solnici, so you actually can't see where I am. If you look in the very, very bottom right there, you can see the northern half of Solnici, but I'm on the southern half, and so this tourist map doesn't actually even cover where I am or any of this other area further south. So across all the way from Solnici, this whole bottom part of the map is not even on the tourist map. I think there's different ones you can find that will show you different areas, but they're so rare and they're so useless that they're really not worth your time as far as I'm concerned. But again, if you are the kind of person who wants to play a super hardcore game, they are there and they are available for use. The easiest way to find out where you are is to go to the edge of a town along a main road and find the sign. And now you can see we are leaving Solnici. And if we go on the other side, it is entering Solnici. Now obviously the signs are in Cyrillic, so you will need to match up the Cyrillic with the English. Both of them are displayed on the iSurvive app, so it's not as hard as you might think it could be, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. But over time, with enough playing and figuring it out, you will know a lot of the town's names just off the top of your head. Now the next section of this video, I'm going to get you familiar with the coast, going to give you a few tips and tricks on how to find where you are, because a lot of the time, oh shit, it's raining, a lot of the time people's trouble when they first start playing is that they can't find their friends, because the map is so vast. It's just absolutely vast, and there's just different cities, different areas. So I'm going to start at the southern coast. Another thing that I should have said, get the DayZ map app. So on your map app on the south coast, you will see the city of Chernarus or Cherno. So if you spawn in like swampland, this crap, 9 times out of 10, you are in between Electro and Cherno. Those are the two cities on the south coast, the two big cities on the south coast. Electro Zavodsk or Zavodsk and Chernogorsk are the two major cities on the southern coast. So if you spawn in this swamp, you kind of want to go left. You want to go towards Cherno, because if you're already at this swamp, then you're most of the way to Cherno. And if you turn right, you'll probably starve before you get to Electro. So yeah, if you're coming into Cherno from the Electro side, this is your main road from Electro. This will just carry you straight in. If you've spawned in the swamp, you'll end up on the main road. And if you turn left to get into Cherno, you will end up meeting this little road here. Oh shit, I'm still in reverse. This little road here is an untapped resource. I'm probably going to say that a lot in this video, but this little road here has this little well down here, and that well is just so handy. It's like very rarely visited, especially on official servers when you want to get a well that's like not in the dead center of town. That is so handy. Generally you'll spawn on the outside of Cherno on that area, but there is a chance that you'll spawn in the town or down at the docklands. Docklands areas again are very, very similar to each other, very, very hard to distinguish even when you've been playing a long time. If you spawn in the docklands, like they're one of the areas that takes the longest to get used to get to understand the differences between them, the kinds of buildings that there is in them. Also, if you do spawn in the docklands, I would recommend loot only as much as you can on your way out of them, because they have no food. What in the fuck is this all about? Let me just get a screenshot of this for the lads. They're riding. So yeah, if you end up in a dockland, try and get into the town proper. So this is Chernogorsk. This is, I think, the biggest coastal city. I think it's the biggest coastal city. Berezino's more spread out, but Cherno has just got all of these huge factory buildings that I don't think you find many other places. Maybe in some of the big cities in the northeast, but like this is Cherno. Like you'll know Cherno. Another very distinctive landmark, actually in behind those walls, I believe, is a couple of little military tents, which is very, very handy to know. But again, any military zone is going to be hot as hell. I recommend you leave off chancing those until you're a little bit more experienced, honestly. But like, hey, if you don't care if you die, you don't care if you die. Go and check it out. Go and give it a fucking go, because you might end up with something really, really useful that the other freshies don't have. Anything that gives you an edge over the competition, you're going to want. The landscape around Cherno as well is quite distinctive. The city is so big that it's like there's a lot of flat land around it. It doesn't rise so quickly the same way Electro does. This big graveyard and church, that's another Cherno landmark. Big, big, big church, big graveyard. Road under the railway bridge. This is a really nice railway bridge as well. At Big Town Square building, I believe there's a plane crashed into a fucking building somewhere along here as well. Unless that's been changed. This whole like promenade area, this is really distinctive actually. This is like, you don't get this in other towns. This whole like waterfront area, this is just not in other towns. Here's the plane, look. I love this. Let's actually get out and have a look at this. So yeah, this is one of the most distinctive Cherno landmarks. There is no other planes crashed into any other buildings in any other cities on the map. Distinctive as all hell, so, you know, if you're in Cherno, you're in Cherno, you know where you are. Oh, there's another big landmark. Jesus, how could I forget? There's more common and less common spawns. To get this side of Cherno is actually quite uncommon, honestly. You'll probably end up on the spot where I came in first, where I was showing you. This is another common little spawn point here. It's a good landmark. I'm just going to show you the landmarks around the place. This is a good one, this little windy road. If you hit this little windy road, you are in between Electro and Cherno. Best places to find food when you're first spawning is in the boats on the coast, but they're often stripped in official servers. Like, unless you've ended up back there, like, I mean, you will probably not find food in those boats, honestly. Your best chance is to kill zombies. Kill as many zombies as you can, and it's difficult. So we're just coming into Electro here now. This is a nice little area that you often spawn. That road goes to Pusta. I would generally recommend, when you are playing on official servers, to get off the coast as quick as you can. For a couple of reasons. Number one, all the gear will probably be stripped. Number two, there's probably going to be freshie killers out on the hunt. People have mixed opinions about freshie killers. I think it's a bit of fun. I mean, I'd rather myself be a freshie tormentor, generally, because it's kind of fun for videos. Just like kidnap them, you know, make them do stupid shit. But you want to get off the coast. So that road there goes to Pusta, which is a lovely little town, and it's probably a lot safer than this whole coastal area. So getting into Electro, you can see that sign obviously says Elektrozavodsk in Cyrillic, Russian. If you're in a big industrial area though, chances are it's either Electro or Cherno or Berezino. If you spawn in and you're in a big industrial area, chances are Electro, Cherno or Berezino. These big towns, they do all look fairly much alike. Like, a lot of these are just copy-pasted houses. These townhouses, very similar. But in Electro, the town square is very distinctive. You'll see this bus. And then there's a little military checkpoint in the center, which is all barbed wired off. That tent, I mean, chances are if you're unofficial, it's going to have nothing in it. So continuing down the coast, Electro is not that big, but one of the biggest, like, landmarks, I wonder will I actually be able to see it from this road. I might just travel down here a little bit so I can show you. How I got used to knowing that I was in Electro for sure was that when I spawned in, I would look up to the skyline. Because generally, the skyline in each town is very different. I don't even know if you'll be able to see it in this weather. Not really, but okay, it's there. The big church on the hill, that is your big landmark for Electro. When you kind of get used to it and you spawn there a bunch of times, like I have, you will know the differences sort of nearly instinctively, immediately as soon as you spawn in. I mean, I die a lot. I'm useless, so I know the coast like the back of my hand. But yeah, the big church on the hill, you're in Electro. So we're just pulling into Kami here now. Kami is an absolute shit show on official servers. Kami is like the place to be if you're a big time, fully geared asshole and you just want to go and fuck shit up. It's like the unspoken rule that Kami is just always a fucking nightmare. It's just full of people usually. And how you know Kami is you'll spawn on this nice flat road that rises to mountains immediately. And then you've got that big mountain and the valley in the center. I'll actually drive up that valley a little bit because it's nice. So this is Kami. It's a small town. It's not a city. It's really small. But as we say, it's just an absolute shit show on official servers. It is a nightmare to get around Kami. It's crazy. But I really like it. I'm very fond of Kami. My biggest base was like not far from here, so it was like our nearest, it was our second nearest settlement, and we used to come down here to fuck with freshies, as you will see on some of my videos. So in Kami, the well is just outside the police station. Again, this is a fucking hot zone. I would nearly recommend, if you were fresh, don't bother with Kami, honestly. And then that valley out there, that goes, you don't really want to take that road if you're a freshie, honestly. If you're fresh and you barely know the game and you spawn in Kami and you're unofficial, I would recommend you just kill yourself and find a new place to live, because this is just not going to treat you well. Kami's for advanced players, people who have a base nearby, or just masochists. Yeah. Another distinctive feature is that big warehouse down there, but that's like basically all of Kami. Like, we're going straight through it. So that's basically it for the south coast. There is one last spot that I want to show you guys. It's unlikely that you'll spawn out here, and also I don't know how well I'm going to be able to see it in the rain. But this is a little tip that I really think that people need to know more about. I might just get out into the rain and just run down to the coast and show you guys this. So if you spawn in Cami, especially if you spawn on this side of Cami, the eastern side, you can actually get out to, you can see it, you can kind of see it. You can get out to that island out there. That's actually an island. It's a self-contained island, and it's really quite big. It's got a castle ruin on it and a tiny little like village hamlet and a lighthouse. And generally, it's very, very quiet, even on official servers. Now, you might run across a base. Chances are there won't be anybody in it. It's just a nice place to get started, I find. Although the swim may kill you, honestly, because you will start to freeze. But I don't think so. You can make it as a freshie. You can actually make that swim. It's not too bad. Also, some pretty good gear spawns out there. Knives, compasses, and tundras, which are a really nice sniper rifle. They all spawn on that. I really like Scalisi Island. I think it's an interesting and little utilized part of the map that can really save your life if you're a freshie and you spawn in Cami and you don't want to kill yourself. If you go east of Cami, you'll only really reach these houses, and again, coastal houses, probably not going to be a lot in them. And then all the way around, like there's nothing then for most of the way around here, unless you want to try and live off forage, which is possible. One thing about foraging, if you find fruit trees, you can wait underneath them and more stuff will spawn the longer you're there. Also, the longer you wait in a wooded area, the more mushrooms will spawn. That is a risky play. If you want to like spawn in and just immediately try and live off forage, like mushrooms and fruit will not fill you. You need meat. They will give you a decent amount of water and a little bit of food. They'll fill your bar a little bit. And if you get lots of them, you will survive. But it's a risky play. But, you know, it is an option. Okay, so this is the next common spawn. This is Three Valleys. And that's the Three Valleys road out that way. If you check it out, there is a well a bit up. Three Valleys is not a bad spot to start. It's a decent starting point, honestly. It's fairly kind. I'm just thinking about spawns now. This does look a lot like the Cami to Electro road, so I mean it can be confusing, but there's so little distance between Three Valleys and Solnici that you'll be able to tell the difference pretty quickly. So here we are in Solnici. Solnici is another favorite town of mine. I really like it. It's small, it's not the same kind of craziness as you get in, and quiet. Cami, you can recognize it by these big towers on the edge and the big warehouse behind. Plus up there is a big quarry. Now again, on official servers, it's probably going to be stripped. All these coastal towns are probably going to be stripped. But I do want to show you one thing, because this is like, I've found this place to be like overlooked quite a bit. So in here in the quarry, this is a little barracks building. And I mean, when you're a freshie and you've got literally nothing, it can be a really good resource. I've found SG5Ks in there, which is a little rapid fire SMG thingy. It's just a good little spot in there. I've found jackets, field vests, and I mean, the thing about clothes in this game, I'll get into that now actually. The clothes in this game are actually more important than you'd think. Each piece of clothing has its own storage capacity. And the military clothing and the hunter clothing tend to have the highest storage capacity. See, BDU pants. FX45. You can imagine as a freshie, you'd be really happy to find this stuff. Smoke grenade! Real grenade. And that's a nicer field vest than what I have. So I'm going to grab that. Another thing that's important in Solnici is the clinic. And obviously the well. But any hospitals, they can be quite important. Like currently it's raining. If you spawn an official, oh shit, if you spawn an official and it's raining, you're probably going to get sick. You're probably going to get sick. Is this a person? Whoa! Who the fuck are you?
I'm trying to get the hold of the...
You're wearing your helmet, man. I can't hear you in your helmet. Hey, what's up, man?
Okay, I'm slowly dying. I'm dying of starvation. My health's in the red. I'm passing out all the time. I'm a noob,
Okay.
so I have no idea what.
Alright, hold on. Let me just feed you here. Is it just food you need? You need water? There you go. Are you talking?
But I'm just noob, so I'm trying to just.
Oh yeah, if you press down twice, your microphone will stay on constantly, so you don't have to hold it.
Oh.
Yeah. You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Hold on. You must be missing blood as well, are you?
Huh?
You're missing blood?
Unsure. Did I drop the sardines?
You did. I'm feeding them to
I
you.
did. Oh, sure. Yeah, I was attacked by some zombies earlier, and I started bleeding, but I didn't realize. So my
Yeah.
blood thing is all in the red, blinking, and health. I'm trying to
Okay.
get a hold of one of the rangers, but I can't find a road sign, so I have no idea where I am.
Oh, okay. Well, you're in between Solnici and Berezino. Oh, no, this is a factory at Solnici.
How do I write that?
Okay, hold on. I'll just tell them for you.
Oh, cheers.
Oh, he did! He's dead! No! He's dead! Bro! Well, that was fucking hilarious. That poor bastard. Okay, alright. You see, the thing about this server is it's Randy servers. It's quite empty usually, so it was just amazing that I actually came across him. So happy that happened. That was hilarious. Bro, you poor bastard. So, in between Solnici and Berezino is this factory at Solnici. This is one of the most miserable places you can spawn. And I feel really sorry for that guy, actually. So, the factory at Solnici is just exactly what it says on the tin. It is a factory. There is never any food here. It is a completely useless spawn for a freshie. It's a great spot if you want to find nails, if you need batteries, if you need any industrial gear. But if you spawn at this factory, I would recommend you go somewhere else because it is useless. So after Solnici, the next town that you're going to hit is Nizhnoye or Nizhnoye? Don't know. Remember to switch gears while at Jesus. Yeah, it's a small town, very, very quiet usually, not a lot going on here. It's got a well, it doesn't have any medical supplies and very few houses, plus it's difficult to get anywhere from Nizhnoye unless you find food. There is an apple orchard in it. Chances are you're not going to find too many apples, but, you know, just do your best. You know, if you spawn in Nizhnoye, you're not necessarily just going to die straight away, so there's that. This road is a killer. You'll often spawn on the beach just on this road. Try and get familiar with it. It's the one that's like got very flat land. That's a common spawn area there. And you're going to end up in Berezino, which is a big enough town. It's a big enough town. It's spread out though, and it's kind of awkward. I'm not a huge fan of Berezino. Some people are. There's a couple of military tents in it. There's a lot to it, so the chances of you finding food are quite high. It's not that busy on official servers. You know, there's worse places you could spawn, basically, is what I'm saying. It's just a pain in the arse. We're actually going past it, and not a lot of Berezino is on the coast, but we're going to end up in the industrial area up here soon. The main bulk of the city is like that way. So if you spawn on this stretch of beach, just head inland. Just head that way. Go towards the light. Go towards the houses. Any residential areas, as always, that's what you want. If you end up in an industrial area, you're not going to find food, unfortunately. You're more likely to find a knife in residential areas as well. But what you can find in industrial areas, which makes them worth going through as a freshie, is splitting axes. Splitting axes are a one-tap kill on zombies, so they are quite worth picking up if you find them. So yeah, just gonna try and not lag out and die here. Yeah, so that's Berezino. It's alright. It's alright. It depends on what you're looking for. It's no Three Valleys, let me just say that. So much industrial area. So much industrial area. I might actually get out and look for nails when I'm on my way back through here. Always loot trains. Trains have good shit in them. Trains can be very, very useful. This boat, it's a good landmark. If you end up at, oh, that's a Sarka. I'm gonna see if it has any doors for me. If you end up with that boat over there, you can find some pretty decent gear around it, but usually no food. Front left door, I have that one. Shit. Yeah, usually no food. It can have like knives and, I mean, again, on any boats that you see, like you see those little upturned boats there that my cursor is on, they'll have food. And I think there's some military crates and stuff around there, so you might find something useful. It's worth having a look around, but again, if you spawn in this area, it's fairly bleak. It's fairly bleak, I'm not gonna lie and just pretend that you're definitely gonna survive. I mean, you're not definitely going to survive ever. It's DayZ, you die a lot, you lose your shit, it happens, you gotta deal with it. Only people who are slightly cracked play this game, I think. Yeah, so that's another landmark. If you're there, you're in between Berezino and Svetloyarsk, which is where we're headed now. But if you end up at that boat, you want to go south. You want to head towards Berezino because the road to Svet is long, boy. And this is Svetloyarsk. I'm flying through it, I have no idea even why. There's not a lot in Svet, honestly. It's a quiet little town. It's not even a little town, it's actually quite big. I'm not sure how busy it is unofficial because I've actually never ended up here. Again, probably a decent spot to spawn because there's lots of food. Be careful, obviously, because there's probably geared players, but I don't know. I don't know actually much about Svet, honestly. I'm not even going to lie. And this is your final spawn on the coast. This is the tiny little town of Berezki. I mean, honestly, it's probably quite high level, and it's a rare enough spawn as well. You're probably not going to get this spawn. It's very, very rare that you'll end up way up here. This is very isolated, very, very isolated, but there's a lot of boats here. I mean, its isolation can work in your favor or it can work against you. The little boats, when they don't have backpacks, they'll often have either food, fishing rods, fishing hooks, which you want to be really careful that you don't miss. I would recommend going up to each boat and pressing vicinity, just like that, so you'll see if it has a hook, because you will probably miss it if you don't check in your vicinity menu. Metal fishing hooks are a lot better than bone fishing hooks, which I also have one or two of here, I believe. Yeah, you make these out of chicken bones, beef bones, any kind of bones. And yeah, so they might have water bottles, they can have, you know, like, the boats are a really, really big resource. So this town, I mean, it can be your best friend or your worst enemy. I would personally give it a go. If you spawn in Berezki, I would give it a go. I would definitely try and see if you can survive, because the chances are that you'll find a fishing hook and a fishing rod. And if you don't find a hook, there's a rooster crowing in the distance. You might be able to find a knife and get him and get his bones and make your own fishing hook. Then if you have a knife and you can make a fishing hook, you'll be able to dig up worms, which is your bait. Just look at the ground, basically. Almost anywhere, not on the beach, on the mud. Fishing is a really good resource. Fishing, if you can fish, you will always have food in DayZ. So yeah, Berezki, not a terrible place to spawn, all told. There could be worse spots. It's a good chance. Give it a go. You're way north on the map. You can end up in some really interesting places. Generally, there's not that many people up here. As I say, it's a very rare spawn. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it if you've made it this far. I will have future videos going over things like cars and guns and base building. So if you are interested in seeing more of me explaining these things, please do like, subscribe and get your notification bell so that you will be aware when a new video comes out. I want to say thank you so much for watching because it is a tiny channel. Literally just watching this far is just so amazing. So thank you so much. And I'll see you again in the next video.
Oh, cheers.